Hello YouTube, welcome to my YouTube channel and today I am going to be reviewing the Christian Light Homeschool Catalogue for 2025 to 2026. Now Christian Light or Education are obviously an American based company, but they are Mennonite, so they're Anabaptists. The Mennonites are closely related to the Amish, but actually quite a lot of them now wear regular people clothes. They aren't, there are some that are, leading the simple life with the buggy and, the horses and the farming. And then there are others that are lawyers. And this is quite an interesting, actually, look at what is cracking off in homeschool education. So you've got curriculum overview, elementary, so that's the primary school. Then you've got the high school electives, English as a second language, support items and services. So this is what you've got. You've got your reading, your Bible, your language arts. They don't call it English. They call it language arts in America, which is really kind of foreign and odd to a British person because we call it English. But language arts to them is spelling, punctuation and grammar, penmanship. So basically handwriting and phonics in language arts. Reading is obviously your ability to read. And they do that by sight words and phonics. Then they've got maths. I'm not saying what that word is because that's ridiculous. And they've got science, which starts from year 3, which is odd. Social studies, which is actually 3 subjects in one. It's history, geography, and citizenship and politics, which is interesting. So overall, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 subjects. Bible isn't RE as a British person would understand it. It is literally just what is in the Bible. So you start at Genesis and then you end up all the way to Revelation. So this is the format. So they have light units and teacher guides and worksheets and answer keys. And it's worth pointing out that the first 2 Bible curriculum don't have quizzes or tests. The quizzes and tests start from year 3 with Bible. Each light unit has 2 quizzes, which are actually tests, and an exam at the end, and you've got to get 80%. See, the Americans have tried to soften the assessment thing, but it just doesn't. So there's an overview, which is really nice to see it so clearly laid out. It's offline curriculum as well. So what you'd get is a workbook, which is basically a light unit, and a reader. And inside the reader, they've got different stories, and then each lesson would be about that story. So if we see here, you've got your vocab, your story comprehension, and then study words, and know or think. So it is literally basically developing vocabulary as well as understanding a story. And then Bible, as you can see here, you will end up needing some maps, a Bible atlas, dictionary, and concordance, which is basically another thing. And then this is grade 3, so it's almost like a textbook with questions. And the Bible reading is in there, but I would recommend you actually having a Bible with it as well. Then you've got language arts, which is kind of strange for me as a British person. They don't seem to do a lot of creative writing or descriptive writing or actually story writing or report writing independently, which I find kind of odd. Then they've spelt mathematics right. Progress. Science is from a creationalist perspective, which is kind of odd, but once you get up here in the high school years, things start to change a little bit because they kind of have to. And then you've got social studies, which is fascinating because they've got living together on God's earth, so that's history and geography, but also the world around us in preschool. And then you've got into the world, North America is the Lord's, then you've got Latin America for the older ones, across the ages, so that's world history there, And then you've got changing frontiers. So from a British person's perspective, this history is not going to cut it, because there is no Stonehenge, there's no Greeks, there's no Egyptians, there's no Alexander the Great. I'm sure in the ages that would be there, but in America, obviously, they do state history, then they do American history, and America is only 249 years old. So UK history is very different. We've got to start at Stonehenge, then the prehistoric river people in London, and then off we go like that. You've got to start there, and then you wind up, in 2025. Then there's the preschool stuff, but this is actually Rod and Staff preschool, which is also Mennonite. Rod and Staff is also Mennonite. So the preschool is Rod and Staff. And then they've got the kindergarten, so kindergarten 1 and kindergarten 2. But actually, a lot of people do kindergarten 1 and kindergarten 2 back to back. And then you've got this down here that is also Rod and Staff that people can do. Learning to read. I've heard high praises for this curriculum, because you get these books, teacher's guide, little flashcards, and obviously the light units are like little workbooks, and you work through it. So this is grade 1, all here. So reading, Bible, language arts, maths, science. So you don't have to do it all. You could just say take the reading and the maths. You don't necessarily need to do it all. See, there's some more. And then there's some handwriting up there. Extra practice sheets. Grade 2, 3, 4. Science 4 is new. And this is where it does start to become more traditionally scientific from grade 4. So there's a light unit. 7, 8. It's still... Mennonite education is known for reading, writing and arithmetic, the 3 R's, and being very thorough, having really good vocabularies and actually being functional. So, but not forsaken. So this is about a refugee family at the end of World War II, which I think is a great way of doing that. So you've got some art here, you've got a Bible elective, you've got a research paper, and you've got music for church. You've got Canadian social studies, so for elementary, because obviously the social studies is American focused. So they've got some for Canada, because there are some Mennonites that live in Canada. So grade 7, grade 8. The elementary stuff is from 4 to 6. Year 4 to year 6. You've got some Spanish, and you've got your Bible. English 1 and English 2. So we're in high school now, literature 1 and literature 2. This is what we would teach our children from year 7 onwards in the UK. And people are like, their minds are blown. Because weirdly enough, an honours high school diploma in the UK is about a GCSE, which is General Certificate of Secondary Education, a grade D. Yeah, if you graduate American high school, you've basically got a D at GCSE, which in the UK doesn't cut it. You need a 4 or a C. But these are very thorough books. They've got algebra and algebra 1, which they've separated out. Science, this is interesting. So grade 9, you're looking at atoms and physics. And then you've obviously got, this is more general science. So you've got biology, chemistry and physics all in one. Then you've got chemistry separate, physics separate, the new biology course. And then over here, they've got some alternatives. So they've got the advanced one, an advanced chemistry one, but it is literally a textbook. You work through it, you answer the questions, then you take an exam on it. And then you've got apology. So you've got your general science, your physics, and your physical science. And you've got your social studies. So civics and world geography, world history, United States history, democracy and Christian challenges. And I find that fascinating because in the UK we just do history and geography all the way. I find that, but then again, Britain is different. We've got so much history. What would we not have? High school electives, their electives tend to be very functional. So you've got accounting, audio, so that's cars, carpentry, Christian ethics, church history, computer basics, computer service and repair. They do have technology in Mennonite communities. They've got generators, they use the telephone, they use computers, it's all there. So they've got quite a lot of life skills / trade courses. It's reading, writing, arithmetic, and it is functional. You can basically get a job. So cars, carpentry, computer basics, service and repair, consumer math. Now this is what in the UK we would call core math at A level. So you've basically got family finances, construction, building trade, service, occupation, transport, business service, occupational diagrams. I think that's fascinating that they've got that. Then you've got some agriculture, exploring woodwork, home economics. Now their home economics isn't just baking. This is traditional home economics course. What home economics originally was, it was cooking, sewing, child growth and development, so taking care of children, housekeeping, which is keeping the house clean and tidy, making sure that it's safe, and then growing into godly womanhood. So that's basically your PHSE and your PD. Then you've got breads, pies and cakes, gardening and preserves, and the ABCs of money management. Bookkeeping is a massive thing. Elizabeth I, who was Queen of England, she actually learnt bookkeeping and housekeeping and her home economics from Anne of Cleves, shockingly enough. But this traditionally is basically a PHSE with a lot of basically safety in the kitchen and safety in the bathroom type stuff, and childcare as well. So you've got your bookkeeping, your childcare, your cooking, your cleaning, your financial management, your house safety, your house design stuff, and your sewing. It is fascinating that it's still going, and it's a shame that they don't actually do a PD course for boys, because I think that they probably would need one. Then you've got more gardening, keyboarding, modern residential wiring, music, Pilgrim's Progress, practical math, print reading, record keeping. You know, it's brilliant. It's very, very thorough. And then you've got English for other languages, and then phonics for remedial reading, spelling, and students with dyslexia or specific learning difficulties, which is really nice that they do that. And then you've got more language arts, diagramming, which is basically taking sentences apart. Where's the verbs? Where's the nouns? Where's the adverbs? Etc., etc. Charts. Then you've got support materials. Basically, to do this, you need a dictionary, a thesaurus, some blank exercise books so you can take some notes, an atlas, and an encyclopedia, and a copy of the Bible. King James Bible is what they use in all of homeschool stuff because it's easier. See there, you've got dictionaries and stuff, World Atlas. That's how you can get the diploma. And they've got family library, so you can get some books, activity books, colouring books, all sorts of books. Obviously, they're going to be Christian based, but that, and then an order form. But that is that. It's very thorough. And to be absolutely honest, even if you don't homeschool your kid and your kid goes to public school or state school in the UK, you can still get some of this. And it would be pretty good, to be fair. Very thorough. Reading, writing, arithmetic. Their reading, their mathematics, and their language arts or English is very good. Very traditional though. It's low screen time. Basically, it's an activity book and you work through it. So that is my review of the Christian Light Catalogue. If you want more information, I'll leave a link in the video description. So check it out. Thanks so much for the support. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and stay safe. Bye.